And we are back with part two, and this is so interesting. I'm just absolutely enthralled listening to this. I'm like counting all the people that I have to send this to like immediately. So
I know. I'm like, I feel like I'm watching like a movie, and it's like I'm writing stuff down. I gotta know what's gonna happen in the story.
yes.
All right.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. If you're not taking notes, you should be.
Yes. Well, I'm so glad this is being recorded. So let's get back to where we were. Okay, so they can displace.
For need.
Yes.
Yes.
So if your kid gets, let's say, a local ACE hardware scholarship, whatever, but they are also offered a scholarship that has some kind of need component from the college themselves, then that scholarship that they got from ACE hardware could displace some of the monies the college is giving. Fordham, Fordham College, is one that is very specific in their fine print, and you do have to find it, but it's very specific. Most of the time when we think of a college offering a scholarship, that big bucket of money for an entering freshman, we think of that as the first bucket of cash. Now let's add to that bucket with our external scholarships, our private scholarships from local sources and whatnot. But in actuality, even without a need-based issue, it's all merit-based at Fordham. Even without need, that's not the first bucket of cash. It's the last bucket of cash. They are very specific with their scholarships. With the exception of one scholarship they offer, all of the other ones, your stuff you come in with first, your local state scholarship applies first, and then the Fordham tuition and fees scholarship piles on top of that and completes the bucket. Okay? With Fordham, you're covering room, board, and books regardless, except if you get the room and board scholarship. That's the one exception to the rule. But you have to learn to read everything. Not only reading everything on the college website, but when your child is offered that letter, the offer letter that's official from the school, do not jump up and down for joy. Too many families read it and think their kid is getting all these scholarships. No, they're not. The vast majority are getting loans being offered. And unfortunately, that letter that comes from each college is going to look different. There is no standardization with reporting to the family what the offer is. So you've got to read very carefully.
I was thinking when we were looking at colleges, I kind of put that, not kind of, I said, okay, you need to look for scholarships. You need to look for that. So I'm telling my 15, 16-year-old, she needs to be in charge of this. Now that I'm hearing like the parent's number needs to be on there. Now I'm thinking, okay, at 15 and 16, they can't make their own doctor's appointments. Why would we make them in charge of their future for the next 4 to 5 years? And I think as a parent, we kind of leave that to the kids for the most part. Like, you need to go look for scholarships, or you need to, if they're in regular school, you need to talk to your guidance counselor. And they put it, that's someone else's job. And I'm hearing from you that you're saying parents need to take this back. And
so here's the thing, and Sarah, you and I are on the same page with this. So here's the thing. If you notice, I have gray hair. I am OLDER from a lot of people who are listening. So let me explain this to you. Number one, in 99% of the courses that I teach, of the things that I do with families, I am speaking directly to the parent, not to the teenager. Now, why is that? Because I come from an era of it takes a village to raise a child. I believe that the child whose who has the parent support is the one who wins. You've got to have parents involved. Now, if a parent comes to me and says, Denise, I've got 3 jobs and 7 kids, Johnny has to take the class. No problem. That does happen, okay? But so you and I understand, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars of potential debt for your child. In what universe is that a smart thing to do for a 16 or 17-year-old to make that decision?
Right.
Hello. And it's bad enough that parents can't do the math. We're certainly not teaching our kids how to do the math. And what I mean by that is, in my TEDx talk, I talk about showing the child, what does this look like for your future? I had a mom who was a single mom, but when we think of single moms, we usually think of a single mom who, maybe she's struggling to make ends meet. This was not that mom. This was a mom that, I'm not going to say she owned a business. She owned an empire. Okay. Not struggling, but she had laid down the law. This is how much money you're getting for college. That's it. Rest, you got to figure it out. So her daughter was accepted to a college that offered a nice scholarship, and mom could afford, say, it was in the budget for the balance. But the daughter wanted to attend her, quote, dream school, close quote. You don't want to know my opinion on dream school. So she asked me if I would. She hired me for an hour to have a conversation with her daughter. She did not say, Denise, please talk her out of it. No, she just said, would you have a conversation with her? I said, absolutely. So we had a chat on Zoom, and we looked at what her career choice is, her college major, and dream school. Here's the thing. A young adult's brain for cognitive ability, for making wise choices, is not developed until they're 25 years old. They don't understand money, do they? I mean, not really. Even if they have their own little job, they don't really understand real money and budgeting and paying bills and being worried if you're going to pay those bills, right? So this young lady's career choice was going to have an average income, entry-level income, and that's what you have to look at, entry-level income. Most things online are going to say mid-career. If you got $100,000 debt or more, you're not looking at mid-career. You need to talk about entry-level salary. So this child's entry-level salary was going to be about $35,000, $37,000 a year. And I know you guys are going like, Jesus, plum, she's destitute before she walks out the door. I know, but she doesn't know that yet. So we took off federal taxes because you got to pay those puppies. We didn't bother with state taxes. We didn't, because who knows where she's going to work. We didn't bother taking off FICA. We didn't bother taking off the medical insurance that's going to come out of your paycheck. All these little things. And your paycheck ends up getting, smaller and smaller. But without even taking that out, only the federal. We divided by 12. She was going to bring home about $2,500 a month. She thinks she's rich. Let's take a look at Dream School. Her Dream School does not offer merit-based scholarships at all. None.
Wow.
So it took the 4-year amount, put it in a college loan calculator for 10 years at 6%, is more than $2,900 per month. She graduates bankrupt. I said, you're going to be living on your mama's couch for a long time. Now let's take a look. And instead of a 10-year note, what if we make it 15 years or 20 years? She still can't afford to pay that monthly note for the loan and eat, much less have an apartment. You've got to show your kids these things. They don't understand real money. But most parents don't know how to do this either.
True statement.
We deal with this every day.
Every day.
Every
Yeah.
day.
So these things take time to deal with and to understand. But the best time to have conversations with your kids is middle school and early high school. I'm in a number of Facebook groups that I help moderate and answer questions for. And every now and then there's a family that will put it all out there. Here's where we are. Here's what, and it's this college versus that college. What do you think? And I'm like, what's the bottom line? People, no one cares about the name on your diploma. No one. There have been enough surveys of thousands upon thousands of employers nationwide. They don't care. Okay, yeah, maybe there's the one employer out of the entirety of the US that you have to attend Harvard Law to work there, right?
Yeah.
No. Do not go into debt. Harvard does not give merit-based scholarships. If you're destitute and they want you and they'll pay for you to go there, fine. But if that's not your situation, think twice because nobody cares. And here's something that you probably have or have not seen before. On occasion, I'll happen upon something on YouTube, and here's these man on the street type questions going on. They're always at Harvard. They're at Harvard, they're at Yale, they're at Princeton, and they're asking normal questions that everyone in the US should know the answer to. And these kids cannot answer these questions. These are not the brightest of the brightest. They just got lucky. Okay. So it's really something that, and I'll be honest with you, I no longer have the record, so don't ask me where I got it. But a few years back, I had a report when Google was just starting their company. They assumed, like a lot of people do, that Ivy League schools, they've got the cream of the crop. We're going to only hire from them. A few years later, they stopped that practice. They weren't ready. So you have to understand when you're pitting one college against another, and I've heard questions like this a lot too. Denise, what college is better for? Name a college degree. Well, you have to ask two questions. You go to each college. First, you go to the career placement department, the career services department, and you ask, can I get a list of the employers that are recruiting here, the employers that came to your most recent 2 or so live, because we had COVID, nobody was doing anything live for a couple of years, most recent live career days. Who was here? Who sent people? Who spent resources to send people to recruit at your school? You want that list. Then ask the department of your child's college degree, not the College of Engineering. You want the Department of Mechanical Engineering or Chemical Engineering. Be specific. Call that department and ask this question. What is the average entry-level salary of kids graduating with this degree? Now, the kid answering the phone is not going to have a clue, so you're going to have to bump it up the chain till you find someone who knows. Every college tracks this. Everyone. So if you get to a point where someone says, oh, Miss Thomas, Miss Miller, we don't track that. Run. Yes, they do. They're just embarrassed about the answer. But the answer you do get should be around equal to the national average or above. So how do you find out the national average? Very, very simple. Go online and do a quick search. Average entry-level salary for, name that degree. A Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. You won't even have to click a link. The first thing that's going to show up is a job website, and it's going to be right there in the very first 1 or 2 links. Just don't even bother clicking the link. Not worth it. You have the answer right there. So now you know companies that consider that education system at that school to be worth hiring from. And you will be surprised at the big name companies. We're talking NASA, Lockheed Martin, big, big, big name companies that are hiring from your state flagship universities. You don't have to go to a college that costs 3 times of your local college. You can still get a really good job otherwise.
So how do people, so I heard you talk about you lived in a motorhome for what, 5 years?
We went in the motorhome for 5 years. Yep, it was really cool.
Yeah. And so you were able to build this business from your motorhome?
Yeah. Well, the internet is everywhere.
Right. How amazing is that? So so if people want to get more information from you, obviously, I don't know who wouldn't. But if people want to get more information from you, what do you offer? I heard one-on-ones, I heard your email list. How else or what other resources do you offer people?
Well, I obviously have articles and things that I write on a periodic basis, depending on what's happening in the world and the world of education. There's a lot of free opportunities. I have a website. I have a YouTube channel and podcast myself. But in addition to that, there are courses for parents. There's books available and ebooks that are available on my website. There's just a lot of opportunities to learn about the system and learn about what to do next and where to go from here. But here's the thing. A lot of stuff becomes haphazard because there's no real order to that. And I had a family come to me. It was August of her child's first semester in college. So he was about to start. And her kid had recently won a local scholarship and it gets sent directly to the school. She got a letter from the school saying that there was an update to his financial offer and his work study was being withdrawn because of the scholarship. She asked, "Can we get that back?" No, not this year. Maybe next year. But you don't have all the details unless you're going through the course step by step. That's the problem with trying to do it on your own.
Right.
Are there families who are capable? Absolutely. Because maybe their situation it happens to work out. But you're going to miss something otherwise. I also have, for those who are maybe a little behind, they already have a senior or they've got a college student, there is a college student program. The college student program teaches your student how to find additional scholarships at that point, because it's a little different in their search process. It also includes 30 plus winning essays examples, which, by the way, in any of my courses, I tell parents and teens, do not read these essays until after you've written yours. Now, why is that? Because it's not the topic that wins. It's the fact that it's about you. So the essays are not there for an idealist. The essays are there for you to understand what a winning essay reads like, which is very different. I don't do this anymore because I got burned too many times. I have read essays for people, they just pay me for my time, who have not been in my program. Denise, I've got 2 cousins or, nieces and nephews. Would you read their college essay before they send them in? Cool. And they're terrible. I'm sorry, but I don't care if your kid has a 3.7 GPA. Most of your kids do not know how to write. Not this kind of essay. It's a completely different animal. But in the college program, not only do we cover scholarships, we cover your kid's resume for college internships and postgraduate employment that gets past the applicant tracking system. That is something that the vast majority of colleges, and we're talking 99% of them, are not teaching in their career services. They do not have HR recruiters there. It's mostly kids and older people who are not aware of the applicant tracking system and how it works. We also teach the federal resume. So if your child is interested in working for any company that has a .gov on their website, they will need the federal resume. Again, it is a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, I think this is interesting because, like you're saying, we're comparing apples to oranges here. This is what they teach you in high school is geometry and all those kinds of things that about maybe 10% of the kids actually use. I don't know, you would know that, but they don't teach you how to balance a checkbook or make a budget.
No, I'll tell you the best thing that I did for my kids when they were in early high school was to have them take Dave Ramsey's financial piece for
Mhm.
high school kids. That
Yeah.
was the best thing I did for them.
Yeah,
Because from somebody else's mouth, they
right,
were hearing how you can actually become a millionaire by not doing the stupid things that we as the parents have been doing for decades.
right, right. But it's interesting that the colleges don't teach how to write them. It's like, well, what is your next step in life? Why aren't we
Right.
teaching that?
Well, here's the thing. This is how I learned about this. And here's the coolest thing about this. When I was helping my son
Mhm.
throughout his getting internships and college application and stuff going forward, one year he applied to more than 300 internships and heard nothing. Not
Wow.
one callback, not one. Now, here's a kid who is attending college on 8 scholarships. He's got a 4.0 GPA in mechanical engineering. He's a National Merit Scholar, and he heard nothing. Houston, something's wrong. But here's the thing. The resume he was using was exactly what the College Career Center wanted to see. They have to approve your resume before it goes into their computer system. Because, sometimes they do have companies coming in looking for something. So they have a strict, it has to look like this, and you can't have that, blah, blah, blah. So we thought that's what it has to be. It's got to be this. No, that's when I started doing the research and I realized everything they were saying was 100% wrong. A couple of years later, when he was almost, getting ready to get out of school, he had the new resume that was working for him,
Mhm.
the one that gets through the applicant tracking system. And it was flagged by the career center because they said, oh, it can't look like that. It's got to look like this. You better believe I sent a nice little email that explained that this is the one that's working and you will submit it exactly as is to your computer. And here's the thing, they had held it for like 2 months. He had already missed opportunities. So I was not a happy camper.
Mhm.
Don't mess with Mama Bear.
I think this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you for sharing all of this with us. We are going to put all of your information, how everyone can reach you, down below. And I, I, this is Cheryl. Cheryl's just, I feel like her little brain light bulb is absorbing everything.
Oh, I've got notes specific to Denise, and I've got notes of ideas that have come out of the conversation. You know how I am.
Awesome.
Like,
Yes. I mean, so you have courses, ebooks,
I got email
college
list, blogs,
courses.
courses, website, YouTube, podcast, one-to-one, college student program, which I'm absolutely texting my oldest granddaughter who is halfway through her junior year. and saying, I'll pay for this.
And she needs that college student program now. A lot of kids will wait to start applying for their post-grad jobs. And here's what's interesting that I found, especially when it came to the .gov type jobs. Some of those job postings, they're only up for 3 days. I kid you not. If you are not Johnny on the spot, seeing it and submitting, you've lost it. You've lost the opportunity. They want go-getters, right? They want people that are already there, ready for the opportunity. So, and you got to say, you know, on their side, it limits the number of people they have to deal with. You know, if they get 100 applications in 3 days versus 3,000 if they left it open for a week, you know.
Right.
So, you know, I don't fault them for that. They know what they're getting. So anyway, but yeah, I am so excited to share this with your audience. I also have a pick your brain session that can be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour. So if programs are not for you, or if you're at that stage where you really just need a little bit of help and something with your specific situation, that might be one of the opportunities. I try to have as many options as possible for most families to be able to get the information that they need for their family.
Thank you so much for this. This is just, I'm so glad we had you on. I think
Been
we're going to get
talking
a lot
about
of
this
comments.
from the first, from the very first podcast we did, or blog we
Yes.
did.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Having
it.
you come on has been on our top
Yes.
of our to-do list.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Denise, so much for all of your information. I know you have somewhere you need to be. And so we're going to go ahead and sign off. All of our Denise's information is going to be below. Make sure that you are signing up and getting more information, sharing her information with anyone that has a child kindergarten and above. And
Add it
thank
to
you.
their add a list of her information to the thing that you bring to a baby shower.
There you go.
Didn't even think of that.
There you go.
My oldest daughter is having a baby shower at the end of April.
Too
Her
funny.
her oldest daughter is the junior in high school.
Well, you know, it's funny. I have to mention this real quick before we sign off. Obviously, my daughter was my guinea pig, right? And she married a military man, and he still had a little bit of his GI Bill left, and he was taught, because they have a daughter now who's just 3 years old, and he was going to take a class for himself, and he said, well, we need to hold on to it, you know, for the daughter. And my daughter said, no, she's going to be getting scholarships. You go ahead and use it for your program right now.
There you go.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much, ladies.
I've been on a roller coaster ride through the whole thing, and it's going to end up in tears. What the world? Thank you so much, Denise. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, ladies.